Hello, everyone. It's Lily May here, creator of the Glambitious brand, and I'm so excited to bring another dynamic woman entrepreneur to you. If this is your first time tuning in, please head over to theglamceo.com to join the email list and stay connected to the many opportunities we have to elevate your voice and visibility. We also, of course, invite you to meet us in person in different markets as we host the All White Brunch this season. So you are invited to just stay connected to the Glambitious brand. Now, today's guest is actually like a new friend of mine. So go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everyone about your business.
Yes, hi, I am Jatana Okoye, a licensed therapist, a wellness coach, as well as a speaker, and I own a private practice of Black clinicians, Black women clinicians to offer mental health services, as well as, again, the coaching and the speaking. And we are located in Durham, North Carolina, but we offer services, mental health coaching across the country and internationally, as well as speaking, and then in North Carolina, based solely for therapy.
Lovely, lovely. Now, tell us, as far as wellness versus mental health, what the differences are and how they commingle.
Yeah, so on the wellness or mental health coaching side of things, the major difference is that we're not talking about regressive things on the mental health side. So in therapy, we process a lot about past traumas or past things that have gotten you to where you are now, what has impacted that. Whereas in coaching for mental health, we wouldn't be talking about anything regressive. We would acknowledge, like, hey, I did experience this trauma maybe as a child, and this is how it shows up as a barrier to my goals. And then we would figure out how to work through that as a barrier, but not processing what that was. And then on the wellness piece, folks that are just wanting to manage their ADHD, wanting to be better in their leadership positions, wanting to stop smoking or lose weight and have accountability around that in a way that's efficient, short term, and really goal oriented is where we tap into that wellness coaching and just overall physical and mental wellness.
I got you. Thanks for the clarity because I think it's important that women know the two areas of support they can have. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it's a therapy thing. It might be a coaching thing or a coaching thing and not a therapy thing. And people need to know which ways they can get support and how they differ. Now, most of my network and community high achieving, entrepreneurs, professionals, mompreneurs, all of the things. And so we tend to be, perfect patties. So what role does perfectionism play in mental health?
Yeah, so perfectionism shows up a lot. So the majority of my clients are what we call high functioning anxious. And so they've experienced so much in life that has caused them to be how they are, but it's served them, right? And their perfectionism has served them professionally, but it normally hits them on the back end somewhere else. So that's either people pleasing, that is either just physically holding on to the stress of trying to get it right. They're oftentimes when I have someone come into my space to deal with their mental health anxiety, we often are noticing that, oh, the theme is perfectionism, that I'm trying so hard to get it right that I am missing what it's costing me in my sleep, what's costing me in my wellness, what's costing me in my ability to just show up as myself and the weight of that. And so oftentimes I tell Black women, women of color, women in general, is that we have a higher rate of heart disease and stress related diseases. And so, due to that, perfectionism is a natural means of strengthening that stress because we want to show up, right? And we want to make sure that we do well and we get rewarded for the perfection. And so, in the mental health space, it's combating that and figuring out where is it appropriate for me to try my absolute best and where is it appropriate for me to say, you know what? This best is good enough. It doesn't have to be everything that I envision in my brain or what I think other people expect.
Wow, wow. Yeah, I could definitely relate to that. And so I know that there are a lot of trending words like cortisol and nervous system regulation. And, that's very much trending now. And I think it's because people are starting to recognize the internal stress that women are really dealing with, the anxieties and things of that nature. If you could tell, high achievers, founders, entrepreneurs, one thing to do this week, what would it be to help them regulate?
Oh my goodness. The one thing that I would say that's very baseline is breathing. Oftentimes people are I don't know, we neglect that. It's like, oh, well, I am breathing. It's like, yeah, but you're breathing these very shallow breaths. And when we actually sit down and say, okay, I'm going to breathe, I'm going to be in the moment, I'm going to slow down, it gives my nervous system a chance to do so too. So we talk about cortisol, we talk about dopamine, we talk about all these things, and they're not bad in and of themselves. It's how my body is, what's the rate of it in my body and how I feel that. And so when I breathe, which often most of us don't, we do this shallow breathing all day and we do what's called bracing. So kind of waiting for something to happen, but in your body, there's like a tightness that happens. But breathing just says to your nervous system, I'm safe. I'm okay. A lot of times I ask people, like, do their shoulders hurt? And they're like, why would you ask me that? And I'm like, because when we are bracing, most times we're trying to protect our spine, right? It's when I feel uncomfortable, when I feel anxious, when I feel like I got to be perfect, we tend to brace and we protect that spine. And that causes all this tension here. And so breathing is a really nice way of just resetting your nervous system, both your mind and your body, to just say, I'm safe. I am okay.
I love that. I love that. And, ironically, that's something I tried to share with my mom. I'm like, Mom, calm down and breathe. And then she'll do like this ridiculous quick breath. And I'm like, no, Mom,
Mhm. Like that didn't do nothing for you.
slow. It
Yeah.
has to be deliberate. But she thinks it's so ridiculous, but it really works. And I feel like I am like a high performing person that deals with anxiety low key. And breathing has been the way that I somewhat self-regulate when I feel myself, getting a little anxious. Just literally, I think it's like breathe in 5, hold it for 2. I
Mhm.
don't know.
Yep.
What is the thing?
So there's a number of them. So it really depends on what works for you. There's square breathing, so like a count of 5, a count of 4, a count of 8. It really, the more you practice it, the better you will be to be able to hold your breath or inhale deeper. So it really doesn't matter as long as it is an actual deep breath. And so I tell people the type of deep breath you take after you've blown up a bunch of balloons. And you're like, whew, or you ran up a set of stairs, right? Like there is a breath you take when you are exhausted. That's the breath I want you to take when I say let's calm your nervous system.
I love it. I love it. Now, as a mompreneur and as like a therapist and wellness professional, you're not only carrying your stuff, but you're carrying other clients' things. So, how is it that you find balance with carrying with wearing the many hats that you wear as a mompreneur?
Yeah, boundaries. Boundaries and managing my own capacity and taking care of myself. So I am a person that is practice what you preach. So if I say, hey, you should go to therapy, hey, you should try to go to sleep, hey, you should talk to somebody, I am doing those things myself, right? I spend time with my friends, I engage with my community like nobody's business. My community is solid. And they honor my capacity because I've set that as a standard. So they call and they say, hey, do you have capacity for XYZ? And I'm like, not today, actually. Call someone else. Like, and I will hit the group chat and be like, hey, I don't have capacity, but such and such is going through something. Please call her because I don't have it. So honoring my capacity, doing the things that care for me. So seeing my own therapist, moving my body, like that is something I think is also downplayed a lot of like, well, I don't like to exercise. And it's like, I don't need you to exercise. I just need you to move your body because we are creatures, right? We're not meant to be sitting, we're inside all the time. Like, so moving my body is a really great way to do that. My community, my therapist, my faith, really leaning into like, this is the thing that's going to ground me. Being able to talk to God, spending time with God is going to give me that, as well as rest. I like to sleep. I love the naps. And if I can get one, I'm like, yeah, get a nap. And just spending time, with the people that bring you joy, like genuine joy, make you laugh. And you're not considering, are they laughing at me? Like, no, the folks that make you feel good.
Absolutely. And speaking of community, why do you feel like community is so important?
Yeah, I think community is the cornerstone to really ground you and to feel belonging. We, like I said, we are creatures and we're not meant to or made to be alone. We work better as units, right? And so having that community reminds you of who you are, reminds you of your values, reminds you that you belong. And not only that, you have responsibility. So it's very hard to disappear or to lean too heavy into perfectionism when I have other people that I'm accountable to and accountable for. And it just it doesn't allow the perfectionism that we see, the depression that comes. It doesn't allow the masking that we often do to just make it through the day to be the cornerstone of our life. Like we got people that know us that are like, hey, why are you up? It's 2 a.m. Or hey, I haven't seen you in a minute. Or hey, that doesn't look like your regular smell. What's going on? Right? You have to be accountable to people, and that allows you to show up fully as yourself.
Absolutely. And for the ladies that may not have that community, or, they may have moved to a new city or whatever the case, or they may have just become a little withdrawn in a season that's been heavy for them, what would be your advice to them?
I would say seek community in ways that feel okay to you. So I would never tell somebody, hey, let's go jump into this social group when you haven't left your house in 3 days. It's probably not going to work. But maybe we join an online platform. Maybe we join a Patreon. Maybe we follow someone's community and decide whether or not we want to join. Maybe we try a run group. Maybe, we try different things to kind of touch our toes and be very open when we do that, and seeking help, right? So having a therapeutic relationship, having just a community relationship, it's faith, trying a church, but trying things that are appropriate to where you are. So some of my folks who have been very social and they moved to this area, particularly in the Raleigh-Durham area, sometimes they're like, there's nothing to do here. And I used to do this when I lived in this city, and I used to do that. And I'm like, okay, so you are someone that really enjoys being out and about. So I would encourage you to do the events that are out and about. Like check the Eventbrite. What is going on in the community? See what festivals are coming. What are those type of things? And then when you are out in these spaces, just speak. Say your name, introduce yourself. Say, I would love to connect later. But opening the door to connection, I see oftentimes people will go places and then they just stand on the wall. It's like, yeah, you gonna have to say something to somebody. They're not gonna meet you back there. They don't. You have to say something. So
Exactly.
I would just encourage people to connect in ways that book clubs are also great things, but that are appropriate to where they are and they feel comfortable enough to actually make a connection.
That's so good because I was one of those people that you're talking about. I moved to Raleigh a year ago and I was like, oh, okay, it's a little different pace, but I did literally all the things that you said. I literally went to like a social club group and started talking to people and met one of the closest friends I have up here. I literally went to the church, love the church. I literally went to the run club, love the run club. Even just the feeling of being around other people when you're not even talking to them, even that feels great. So I think you share some really good gems. It's really about like kind of pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. And it's so important, I feel like, that we do that when we feel like, we don't have the community that we need in certain seasons. So that was great advice. Back to, like high achievers, because most of my community fall into that category. I think there's a lot of competition in this season. There's a lot of stressors, financially, economically, and things of that nature. So the way that we work and how we operate our business and, the volume of clients we have, a lot of that is shifting.
Yes.
How can high achievers separate their worth from their work?
Yeah. So this comes up a lot in the work that I do, both in coaching and therapy. And because a lot of my folks are also dealing with perfectionism, is that you have been rewarded majority of your life because you worked really hard. And because you've been rewarded for that, you've now associated that as your identity. And you're tied to all the outcomes of that in order to maintain your identity, right? So an example would be, I am about to launch a new product. I put it out. I have already decided in my head, I want X amount of sales. And if I don't get that, then that means X about me, right? That means I failed. That means that this launch was useless. And so what I encourage high achievers to do is really lean into the fact that your work is an extension of you, not who you are. And having to be very clear on who you are prior to your work and then reevaluating that. So my folks that are like, oh, I'm a CEO. And it's like, okay, when you introduce yourself, how do you introduce yourself if you can't say you're a CEO? How do you identify if you can't put a title to it? How do you identify if you're not explaining something you experience? So I see that where I'll see people that say, especially my high achievers are, I'm a high achievement person with anxiety, and it's like, or I am a high achieving person and I have anxiety. And I'm like, you see how you differentiate it? That this is who you are and this is what you experience. Same with work. That this is my job, but this is who I am. This is what I'm good at. This is what I know I can excel at, but this is who I am. And that is typically the work, because so often, for at least my clients, there's an enmeshment that I am the brand. And it's like, you're not the brand. Who are you? Remove the brand.
That's so good. That's so good. So how can, viewers work with you, connect with you, if they feel like some of this resonated and they need to do a deeper dive?
Yeah, so go to my website. My website has everything. That is jokoyewellness.com. That's JOKOYE wellness.com. And there you can see all of our services, if it's coaching, if it's speaking, if it's groups, if it's therapy, whatever it is you feel like you need. And then if you want to, just reach out to me. My email is Jett, Jett, at jokoyewellness.com. And I will gladly hop on a call with you and just talk. I love talking to people. I love mental health and really investing in that for people, if that's working with me or helping them to find someone else that's a good fit.
Fantastic. Well, for those of you who are catching this replay, I urge you to connect with Jett. When we had our first brunch, we were total strangers, and she became my therapist at the brunch. And it was just, we were talking like best friends. I'm telling her all of my deepest, darkest secrets. She's wonderful.
Thank you.
She's absolutely wonderful. So I urge you, if you need someone, whether it's in the coach space or the mental health capacity, to really connect with her, because she has a very sweet spirit, a soothing voice, and she's really an expert at what she does. Again, this is the Glambitious podcast. It's our mompreneur series where we're interviewing mompreneurs around the country. So if you're interested in being a guest, visit theglamceo.com. Feel free to follow me on Instagram at I am Lily Mae. And thank you again for tuning in to another episode.